right, guys. Good morning. This is a video for the first year machine shop students. I'm filling in for Greg and next few weeks. And I'd like to today cover the facing and center drilling of a workpiece on the lathe. So this week I'd like to get you guys cleared on the horizontal bandsaw, past your lathe test, and have you do this basic operation right here when it comes to working on the lathe. And that's going to be facing and center drilling your part. So this round piece, this 1.25 inch round stock, is going to eventually turn into an action mandrel. All right. There's going to be a series of steps you're going to do on this. You're going to turn it to a dimension in 3 areas, and you're going to thread it, then you're going to blueprint it, and you're going to use it to face your receiver. Okay, when the part of one of the parts of building a custom rifle is to true everything up, true your action up with your barrel, and facing the receiver is pretty critical. Okay, and this step that we're doing here in a basic way is kind of get you in ready to face the front of a receiver. So what you're going to need for this week is you're going to need your center drill, you're going to need your lathe bit that you ground last week. Okay, and these tools here, your veneer and whatnot, your veneer calipers and your steel rule, you don't really need to do this to face and to center drill. However, you should get in the habit of carrying this stuff. All right, my veneer calipers are always in my back pocket, and my steel rule is always in the front of my pocket. Okay, it helps with basic layout whenever you're working on the lathe. So those are parts that are tools that you might want to have to do this, but definite have is going to be your high-speed steel that you ground last week and your center drill, and we'll get going. Okay, guys. Okay, guys, so this is my lathe in my shop. All right, so this lathe is just like the one that you guys have at school. It is an Eisen 1340. It has Norton style gearbox, belt driven, pretty pretty basic lathe. It's basic for a reason. It's easy to operate and it's easy to maintain. Okay, so once again, like we keep talking about in this class, is I'm not teaching you guys to be machinists. I'm teaching you how to use this machinery in order to build custom firearms. So just as a quick review of what we're looking at, something I'm going to ask next week when we do our test is the basic components of the lathe. Okay, so we're going to have our carriage, we're going to have our cross slide, we're going to have our compound, we're going to have our tool post, we're going to have tool post holder. This is our chuck. This is a 3-jaw chuck. This is our headstock. This is how we're going to change our gears. This is our direction that our lathe turns, forward or reverse. This is the bed, okay, the ways, the bed ways. This is our tailstock, okay? So these are all things that's going to come up on the test that we do next week. And it's basically going to be a visual test where I'm going to ask you, I'm going to point out certain things on the lathe, and I'm going to expect you guys to tell me what it is, okay? Some of the things I have set up on my lathe that we're talking about trying to be more efficient is I've got my bench set up here. This is my bench attached to my lathe. This is the certain things that I have. These are all my tool post holders when I do various operations. I've got my files back over here, my lathe file, super important. There's my dead center, my perishable center, oils, whatnot, some Cratex polishing stuff. My protractor for measuring when I'm starting to get my cut tapers and whatnot into barrels and whatnot. All my indexable tooling, you know, just stuff like that. You know, you guys, when you get your shop, you'll have the same type of stuff, all my different oils and everything that I use. So something else you notice is I have a lot of magnetic dial indicators everywhere. A Noga, magnetic dial arm, okay, flexible arm, super important, something to get. And I kind of use this as just a fail-safe, you know. I like triple, quadruple checking my numbers before I actually start cutting, so these actually help me do that. So that's just a basic way of how my lathe set up. Just wanted to show you guys because you guys were asking me earlier things that I do on my machine. So I'm going to get this camera set up over here, and we're going to get the round stock in here, and we're going to face it off and center drill it, all right? All right, guys, so I've got my workpiece in my chuck. My tool post holder is up against the piece, and we're going to get the height. The first part of when you're facing this is you want your tool, whether it's the high-speed steel one that you ground or if you have indexable tooling, you want it to be at the center part of your workpiece, okay? That's gonna allow us to work on center so that when we turn this down, we're exactly in the middle of our part here, okay? And what I'm talking about that is that if you get your tool a little bit higher than center or a little bit below center, when you're going to turn this in here, you're not going to be able to face the entire piece of the entire piece of your part. So I'm going to show you how I do that right here. Okay guys, so this is a fail-safe way to get your tool centered. So I'm lining this up here, my tool with my live center, and that will pretty much guarantee that my tool is going to be on the center of my part right there. Okay, as you guys get a little more advanced, you don't necessarily do it this way. You'll get everything all set up over here with a couple other tools. I like to use this tool, which was in the photo earlier. There's some guys as well who use a steel rule to line it up, and I'll show you guys how to do that in the future. But this is sort of a fail-safe way to do this. Just make sure that your tool is in the dead center of your part, okay? So we're gonna get this set back up over here and we'll start cutting. All right, that is centered up right there, faced up, so we're ready to center drill it. So something I like to do when I do something like that, once I make a little cut like that, that's got an edge on it, right? So this is where our file's gonna come into play here, all right? Whenever I do that, I like to take that burr off. So I back my carriage out. Now I've got this faced up, burr's taken off, we're ready to center drill. Okay guys, so I've got my drill chuck in to my tailstock, okay? Tailstock is locked down, all right? That means this lever is gonna go into the forward position, it's gonna go towards the chuck, okay? That way that leaves my tailstock loose, so I can go ahead and drill this part out, okay? So what we're trying to do here when we drill this out is we're gonna give a clearance hole here for our live center to rest into, okay? And that's gonna give us support when we're turning the rest of this part down. And we would do this to both sides of the workpiece. But for this video, to keep it short, we're just gonna do the one side. Okay, so let's get this drilled out so you can see what we're talking about here. guys. So that's the purpose of drilling, facing and drilling out, center drilling the end of your workpiece right there. See, I had this beginning, I was up about right here, an inch out of the chuck. Now I have it out over here. So anytime that we're turning on the lathe, we want to support our workpiece. So by center drilling the end out there, that gives us support here with our live center, okay? So pretty important. Everything that we do, a lot of times when we're turning, is going to involve doing something like this, where we're going to have to face and center drill out the work part. So that's the first thing that we're going to be doing, and we're doing that this Wednesday. So watch this video a few times if you need to. We'll cover it again prior to actually working on it, but let's get going, guys. All right.